What is going on again, guys? It's me, Michael Christian, with another episode of eMiami. This week, we're going to take a look at the Miami Heat versus the Boston Celtics. Game 4 is happening this Wednesday, and NBA 2K21 was just released earlier this month. We're going to simulate that game, and not only that, we have a very special guest on the show today. We have Brady Hawk, another contributor with the 5 Reasons Sports. We're going to let him walk you through his keys to the game, his biggest surprises from the series so far, and some of the things that he thinks we need to improve on. All right, we're on 2K21. Let's go ahead and just, before we simulate the game, take a quick look at the ratings for the team. If we look at Jimmy Butler, what we're looking at is an 89 overall. Really good player. Bam Adebayo at an 86. That's really good, improving for him. I don't remember exactly what his rating was in 2K20, but I can tell you it probably wasn't much higher than like an 80 or an 81. So to start 2K21 and 86 is really good for him. Goran Dragic is our third best player at a 79 overall. We have Duncan Robinson and Tyler Hero, our two shooters, coming in at 78 overall. I understand that Tyler Hero can do more than just shoot, but when we dig into the ratings later, you'll see that Tyler Hero's actually got a really good shooting rating. He's actually one of the best shooters on the team in terms of close shot, mid-range shot, and three-point shot. But we'll take a look at that. Then you've got the rest of the team. You've got Jay Crowder at a 77, Andre Iguodala at a 76, Kelly Olynyk, Kendrick Nunn also at a 76. Then you have two more players at a 75 overall. Those are Myers Leonard and Derek Jones Jr. Chris Silva's at a 73. Solomon Hill's at a 71. KZ Okpala is also at that 71. And then you've got Udonis Haslem, Kyle Alexander, and Gabe Vincent coming in at 70, 68, and 67 overall. If we look at Jimmy Butler and just take a deeper dive, you'll see that his shot is all right. I mean, he's got a good close shot, but his mid-range and three-point shot aren't too great. Perimeter defense of 90 overall, steal of 80, block of 56, but that 90 and 80 overall in the steal and perimeter defense is huge. Bam Adebayo, good interior shooting, good dunks and layups. Mid-range shot and three-point shot aren't really there. If we look at his major defensive ratings, you're looking at perimeter defense of 79 with interior defense of 86. And then we got the rest of the players. Goran Dragic with the 79 overall. Good layup. Obviously, not good dunk stats. But an 83 overall on the mid-range shot and an 81 overall on the three-point shot. I won't bother going over the defense for Goran, Duncan Robinson, and Tyler Hero. I've already looked at them. They're not very good. I don't think that's too surprising to anyone. If we look at Duncan Robinson, 65, 73, and 92. His three-point shot is super high. Tyler Hero comes in with an 86 close shot, 86 mid-range shot, and 84 three-point shot. Those are all really good statistics, and those statistics make him the best shooter on the team if you kind of average them out, just because Duncan Robinson has a really big drop-off for close shot, and his mid-range shot only comes in at a 73. And then you've got Goran Dragic, who has a lower close shot, lower mid-range, and lower three-point shooting. Jimmy's driving inside, got some room for a layup, takes it, and it's good. First bucket of the game goes to Jimmy Butler. Gordon Hayward finds Brown in the corner, who finds room for a reverse layup and makes it, even with the defense from Bam Adebayo. It's no good, but Enes Kanter grabs a rebound with Kelly Olynyk out on the three-point line guarding Williams. Derek Jones Jr. with a big block on Marcus Smart. Goran Dragic driving down the floor. Looks like he's going to look for a layup, and one. Back out to Tyler Hero, who's at the mid-range. 5 seconds left. Gets the screen from Derek Jones Jr. with a layup, and it's good. Good layup by Tyler Hero. Pass over to Tatum, being guarded by Jay Crowder. Looks like the Heat don't switch much. Kemba Walker with the three, and it's good. Coming up with the rebound. Has Jimmy on his left, decides not to go with it. Passes to Goran in the corner, who takes a three. No good, but Jimmy Butler with the rebound, and one for Jimmy Butler. Halftime stats being outshot by the Celtics 41% to 35%. Other than that, most of the stats are pretty negligible. Close game. Jimmy Butler, 11 points, 4 rebounds, 0 assists. Kemba Walker, leading scorer for the Celtics, 7 points and 3 rebounds. Butler asking for the ball back. Not going to get it. Oh, finds him inside in the middle. Great pass by Duncan Robinson to find Jimmy Butler under the basket. Great screen by Bam Adebayo as well on Gordon Hayward. Duncan giving the ball to Jimmy. Has Tatum right in his face. Jimmy being double teamed, so Jay Crowder is wide open under the basket. Oh, Bam. Open inside. Kemba has no shot on that, especially if Tice isn't going to come over. Substitution. Looks like Duncan Robinson came out for Tyler Hero. Really good 5 on the floor here. Jimmy Butler, the three-point line, takes a shot, and it's good. Jimmy Butler doing it all. Passing it, playing defense, inside shots, outside shots. That's what you hope to see from Jimmy Butler in the next game. Aggressiveness right off the start. Jimmy Butler goes for the steal attempt, doesn't get it. Brown uses the screen from Hayward. Makes his way inside, but blocked by Bam. Tyler Hero now going the other way. Has Jimmy Butler on the left, but Jimmy's on the three-point line. Takes a three-point shot, and it's good. Jimmy Butler catching fire. Good third quarter for the Miami Heat. Wanamaker with the three-point to try to cut the lead, and he does. Bam dribbling. Has Iguodala at the three-point line. Decides not to take it. Alley-oop to Bam Adebayo, who just tips it in for the Heat. Kemba trying to take Dragic inside, and Dragic with a bad foul. Kemba. Butler at the top of the key. Uses the screen from Bam Adebayo. Tries to get inside. Finds Duncan Robinson in the corner. Huge three from Duncan Robinson. Kemba Walker with another mid-range jumper, and that one is good. Kemba Walker catching fire now. Goran Dragic looking a little tired. Finding Butler inside with the alley-oop to Bam Adebayo for a three. Quick foul. Hope they miss one. Kemba Walker at the top of the three-point line. Looking for Brown. Brown with the open three, and he sinks it. Celtics are going to need either a three-point shot made with the foul or another two possessions, which I don't think is going to happen. Tatum with the quick three. He makes that. 3 seconds left. 65-64. We've got a close game here. Dragic misses the first free throw, taking here the second. Looking to make it a two-point lead, and he does. Celtics are going to have to take a really long shot. Inbound to Kemba Walker, who takes the heat for the winner. And it doesn't go in. The Miami Heat escape with a 66-64 victory. Not the way they would have wanted to see it end, but a win is a win, and we will take what we can get. All right, guys, and we're back, and now we're joined by Brady Hawk, a fellow contributor to the 5 Reasons Sports Network. Brady Hawk is an expert in all things Miami Heat, knows a ton about the stats. Bringing him on here because I think you hearing his voice is going to be worth a lot more than myself. Brady, how you doing, man?
Good. Thank you for having me on.
Yeah. So first question I want to ask you, Brady, is Game 3 was on Saturday night, a couple nights ago. But what was your biggest surprise and biggest disappointment from that game?
Yeah, I think they pretty much tie in together. It's just the lack of intensity and energy from everybody on the court except for maybe Bam and Hero. That's something that the Miami Heat tie themselves upon. Is just their kind of that Heat culture, the stuff they bring to the court every single game, and that was something that they lacked. Which was definitely a big surprise, especially when you're not scoring the ball well and not even defending the ball well. That's just a big part. And defensively, that you need intensity on defense, especially against a team like Boston. That's the key to everything. That's the only key is basically on defense is communication and intensity. And that was the part they probably lacked both. But most of the intensity in that game was probably just the biggest surprise.
Yeah, for sure. I remember watching the game. I kept thinking, with this team, and we've said it before, we said on the post game, I always feel like they can come back, right? There's no deficit that I feel like they can't climb out of, barring like 30 or 40 points, right? When they're keeping it between 10 and 20, I'm like, this team can come back. They have the shooters, they have the defense. But I felt like, I agree with you, like I never saw that really deep intensity from them. I didn't see that like necessity for the game. It felt kind of like they were thinking, we'll come back. And at the end they did, but it was too little too late. And it's just one of those things that you expect that fiery attitude. And it feels like when they're favored or when they expect to win, when they're kind of complacent, they kind of take a step back and say, hey, let's see how it goes. Don't think they'll do that in the next game, but we can talk more about that later. So with that game as well, I think for myself, one surprise I had was Goran Dragic. So Goran didn't play really well. Goran had a pretty lackluster game for him. The shooting wasn't really where you expected it. He looked a little tired at times. Do you think this is a sign of things to come for him, or do you think Goran Dragic can keep up the level of play he's had in the playoffs moving forward?
I think this is a one-game thing. He's 34 years old. He's going to have a little bit of a rusty game every once in a while, especially the load that he carries on offense for this team, especially with Jimmy's the guy that comes in halfway through the fourth quarter to go get to the ball. But for the first 3.5 quarters, it's all Goran.
Yeah.
So him doing that just kind of tells you that he's going to have a bad game, which is why I kind of expected Jimmy to step up in those at the first 3 quarters when Goran wasn't having it going. Obviously, Tyler stepped up, which was a big help for Goran, but I don't expect that to happen in the next couple of games. Goran's the type of guy, he has that grit, he has that.
Yeah.
He's a type of guy that doesn't faze him. That poor shooting game. That was probably his only bad game of the whole playoffs.
Right.
So I wouldn't be too worried about that.
Yeah, I know. It was a little weird to watch him struggle as much as he did. I know for myself though, when I watch him play, and he's been playing great so far these playoffs. I mean, he's been right up there at MVP, right? You can talk about him having his MVP moments in the playoffs for us, Jimmy, Jay as well. But when I look at Goran, the only thing that I think is, man, if we could have gotten Goran when he first came down here, I think he was like 28 or 29, and we could have that Goran with this team in the future they would have, man, it just makes you think, what if? But
yeah, he's the type of guy that you just want on your team, and he fits so well with Jimmy. That's the biggest thing. I think it's just the relationship on and off the court,
right.
which was not expected. You just didn't expect Jimmy and him to bond like that when they came, and that's obviously translated to the court so well because they bounce off each other so well.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Another thing, so an interesting quote came out this morning. Posted by the 5 Reasons Sports and a couple other outlets. They were interviewing Jay Crowder, and Jay Crowder specifically mentioned some big adjustments that they would have. Mentioned defending Kemba Walker, but he didn't want to go into too much detail. What's your best guess as to what that big adjustment is going to be for the Miami Heat for Game 4?
I think it might be a matchup thing that they'll switch some guys around maybe. We kind of talked about maybe putting Crowder on Tice and switching Bam up to a different guy, trying to throw something out. The only problem is you kind of want Bam in the paint to be that rim protector to kind of guard Kemba Walker on pick and rolls. So that might be the thing. I also think that maybe not as much zone that we've seen in the past. I think that's worked well, but with Gordon Hayward returning, it's not of their best interest to go to it so much. I think it's going to be better in spurts maybe once in the third quarter, maybe once in the fourth quarter. I think you're not going to use it as much as we usually saw, but mostly I think it's going to be the matchup thing that we might see Jay Crowder get thrown around a couple different spots in the Boston starting lineup.
Yeah, that's a really good point. I think it makes sense that it's on the defensive side of the ball. If there's one thing this team wants to do, because that game on the offensive side seemed like an anomaly. We missed a ton of shots, but that's not normal, right? You're going to have those games. It was the defensive side where you can control things a little bit better that I felt they let some things slip, because the Celtics didn't have a great 3-point shooting game either. It was inside the paint that were destroying us. So I agree with you. I think that's on the defensive side as well. Lastly, for any of you guys here who watching the video who don't know, Brady contributes a ton to the 5 Reasons Sports Network website. He usually has a 5 key takeaways after each game, and the dude is a monster. He has the article written and done the moment the buzzer sounds. He is a workhorse. He knows what he's talking about. So at this point, Brady, I'm just going to let you go ahead and take it away and give us your 3 keys for the Miami Heat to win Game 4.
Yeah, I think some of it is basically what we talked about a little bit. One, I think it's going to be Jimmy Butler increasing the intensity that we talked about. I think the intensity of this team revolves solely around Jimmy Butler.
Yeah.
If he brings it, the whole team brings it. That's just the way it is. And there's not many games that Jimmy doesn't bring it, but that was probably the only one that I've seen in a long time that Jimmy just didn't have it. Defensively, he just wasn't there. There was a lot of times when there was a lot of standing around from him, which he's usually double teaming on drives, especially when they're attacking guys like Duncan Robinson and Tyler Hero.
Yeah.
He's usually always there on the help defense and everything else. But so that was just, I think if he brings it on Game 4, which I think he will, this team's going to have a good shot of winning. Two, I think it's going to be a lot of Spo, as we talked about before, the adjustments. I think Spo has to adjust to his adjustments that he's made.
Yeah.
I think implementing, like I talked about, the zone defense, I think he's going to go back a little bit. And Gordon Hayward's ability to kind of break down that zone defense, getting to the free throw line, and he could either, he takes that shot, knows how to pass it, he could work a back cut. There's so many things that Gordon Hayward can do in that kind of zone defense that they're going to go away from it when Gordon's on the floor.
Yeah.
Obviously, we talked about the matchup thing. There's a lot of things, even the rotation, I think that we might see a change in that from Spo.
Yeah.
We've seen the 10-man rotation throughout, and I think there's a chance that he goes to an 8-man rotation. In the second half, there's a chance he goes to 7, depending on the health of Andre Iguodala, because
with the back spasms.
Right, the back spasms, and that's just, you can't even prepare for that. So I think it's going to be a 7 or 8-man rotation we're going to see with obviously Hero, Iguodala, and Kelly Olynyk.
Right.
And then if Iguodala is injured in the second half, I think they throw in Derrick Jones Jr.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of things that Spo's going to kind of change. I talked about continually that he's a guy that has something in his back pocket at all times, no matter the situation.
Right.
He's already used some stuff, but he's got some other stuff waiting for the rest of the series to close this one out.
And real quick, with your adjustments to the lineup, do you say any minutes for Kendrick Nunn?
No, I
Yeah, I
don't
didn't think
think.
so either. I just wanted to make sure. I just wanted to make sure
Yeah,
we'd make Alf happy with saying no minutes for nothing.
no, I don't. Especially at this point in the series, he doesn't bring
Yeah,
anything defensively, as we know. But now offensively, he's kind of he hurts their spacing offensively and everything else. So I don't see him really getting any minutes in this one.
for sure.
And then the third key I'd say is cutting down turnovers and mistakes. One of the main things we saw in that game when it let the Boston kind of pull away was the end of that second quarter when they had three straight turnovers at the end, in under 2 minutes left in the second quarter, mostly by Bam and Jimmy, which led to Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown running the break. Mostly, you just don't want to let those guys get onto the open floor. That's kind of what they do. They all season they kind of thrive on opponents' mistakes. So that's going to be a big thing. I think you're gonna want to get to the ball to your veterans like Iguodala, Goran, Jimmy. And the big thing with turnovers, I think people always say you kind of want to be smart with your passes, but with this team, the way to cut down on turnovers, I think, is just for them to be instinctive with their passes.
Right.
They're better when they throw it right away. Whenever Bam kind of gets reluctant and doesn't pass right away, and he looks around, it always ends up getting kind of sticky. So that's a big thing about the turnover thing, and then it's going to solely revolve around a bunch of the guys like Goran.
Yeah, for sure. On the turnover note, I think it was the last two games. I think it was 2 games ago specifically. There was one play. We won that game, right? We won game 2. So, I mean, all is forgiven for what happens. But I remember there was one specific play where Tyler Hero actually had the ball with the last couple seconds on the shot clock, and he looked like he panicked, right?
Yep.
Which is very out of character for him, force a turnover. And Bam, pretty often this series, as well as he's played, there's a lot of plays, especially in the first half, where he has the ball and you can see him either gets poked from behind or he's just not too secure with it. And it's like, you're usually better than this. I know that the Celtics defensively are good, but I feel like a lot of those are little mental errors that they can definitely change. So yeah, I couldn't agree more on that third point.
Yeah, I think Hero, that one play was just a big thing trying to get the ball to Jimmy Butler's hands. He kind of tried to force it in there at the end of a game. And Bam, it's just a confidence thing. I think at end of games, that play was in the second quarter, he would have turned around, either did a dribble handoff or drove to the basket. But at that point in the game, he was trying to look for Jimmy or Goran or Tyler, and I think that was just a big part of that. So it's going to be more of just kind of bouncing off their other guys and just keeping that confidence, which they always have.
For sure. Let's hope they hit on all these 3 things. I think these are 3 huge keys for the Miami Heat to have success. But that'll do it here for my talk with Brady Hawk. Thank you so much for joining us, Brady. Brady, anything you want to plug?
My Twitter is Brady Hawk 305, and I write for 5 Reading Sports, and go on, check out 5 on the Floor. I'm on there all the time, so there's a couple things.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining us, Brady. Appreciate the help, and go Heat.
Yes, of course. Go Heat.
And that'll do it for this week's episode of eMiami. Special thanks to Brady Hawk for joining us. With these kinds of series for the Miami Heat, we're probably just going to do one preview episode before the series. So if the Miami Heat make it to the finals, most likely what we'll do is one preview episode with a simulation in NBA 2K21 of the Miami Heat versus that team. We'll hopefully have Brady Hawk back on so he can talk about the keys to the series, some things that may need to change, the way we're going to have to play them differently than the Celtics. And also make sure to catch another episode of eMiami later this week here on the 5 Reasons Sports Network. That's going to be a preview of the Miami Dolphins versus the Jacksonville Jaguars. Won't be able to give you a ratings update for the Dolphins for that one, just because the ratings updates come out every Thursday morning. So by the time that comes out, the video will probably already be done and edited. Hopefully we'll have another guest on though to analyze the game with me. With all that being said, if you guys are enjoying the series so far, make sure to leave a like. If you guys don't like the videos we're doing, make sure to leave a like. If you have any ideas on other games to play, any comments on other stuff you'd like to see, make sure to leave a comment below. As always, make sure to keep it locked in here on the 5 Reasons Sports Network, and thank you guys for watching.